55 seconds of logos for f***ing draft day. Sure, I'm glad they told us the exact minutes and seconds until the draft, or I would have sinned every minute of this movie that didn't update us.
32 teams.
Chris Berman narration.
224 young men who today are about to become players in the National Football League.
Well, some absolutely will not become players in the NFL and will get cut before they ever get the chance. I'm sure this is something that Chris Berman would say, so it's not really a sin on the movie itself, but it is a sin that people think that just because you're drafted, you're guaranteed to be in a league.
I'm talking about draft day.
Wow, roll credits right on the title screen? Is it too good to be true? It is too good to be true. Draft Day clearly attended the Captain America Civil War School for place naming.
You want the entire city of Seattle calling for our heads because we didn't pick Bo Callahan.
Why is it in sports movies when they give a name to some big player, it never sounds like someone who would actually play the game? Sure, Bo has ties to Bo Jackson, but Callahan? I'd settle for Dirk Diggler before Bo Callahan. Here we go again. Cleveland, perennial losers. This is like a different sports sequel to Major League. This is basically the filmmaker's way of saying, well, we would have gone with Detroit, but that would have been too unbelievable. John Gruden.
We haven't had a quarterback like this enter the draft since Andrew Luck.
This is set in 2014, which means it's been only 2 years since Andrew Luck was drafted. That isn't the bold statement John Gruden thinks it is.
Who are you looking at today, John? Mel?
I think it's Cleveland at number 7.
Mel Kiper jumps from talk of the number 1 pick to the number 7 pick for Cleveland, as if he knows Sonny is watching the broadcast right then. Convenient news position is convenient. Steam.
You can understand why this week of all weeks I might feel just a little conflicted about the news I'm suddenly going to be a dad.
Character in a movie finds out he's going to be a father and is conflicted and an ass to the woman about it cliché.
Timing.
Kids! Look, I find it fairly dubious that Allie backed into her parking space when she came over to f*** Sonny, but I find it incredibly dishonest that every single car we see in this parking lot backed into their spaces like f***ing animals. No, I don't care if you are Kevin f***ing Costner. There's zero chance anyone is letting Jennifer goddamn Garner drive away mad and sad. I guess we're supposed to be rooting for this f***o, but so far I think he's a villain. Get the f*** out of here with your breaking Sidney Bristow's heart bullshit.
If I give it to you, you get to say football in Cleveland.
The Seahawks GM is terrible at this. There's an art to this kind of thing, and he just committed like 5 deadly sins on this phone call. The guy went and asked for the moon on the first try, insulted a quarterback for getting injured, and then threw a massive cherry turd on this Sunday by saying you can save football in Cleveland. I know we're supposed to understand as an audience that this guy underestimates Sonny, but goddamn.
You have 10 seconds. Then I gotta go to work.
10 seconds? Sonny is the GM, but the owner, head coach, and whoever else would also be involved in this discussion. We do find out that Sonny is pretty possessive of these decisions and doesn't want anyone else in on them. But Tom doesn't know that.
We don't have beaches and beautiful weather and sunshine. And
you don't have sunshine? The sun is shining in this scene.
football was invented 20 miles down the road in Canton, Ohio.
It was not. While the American Professional Football Association, a precursor to the NFL, got its start in Canton, football was not invented there. Football, at least in America, came from rugby, and the first professional game was played in Pittsburgh. Cleveland, trying to say they invented everything. We'll give you Drew Carey, but that's it. Sonny answers a call with a 434 area code here, but when he hangs up, the phone says it's a private number. Brian De Palma's Draft Day.
You don't take me at 7, I drop down to the late teens. Watch the mock drafts, I know who taking who, and I can't afford to fall that far.
If you're a truly great middle linebacker, there's no way you'd fall down that far. Also, since when does a mock draft have any kind of accuracy? Like, maybe the first few picks, everyone gets those right. But at the end of the day, everyone's mock draft should indeed be mocked.
Vontae, he's a 7-pick paycheck. Got a gaggle of nephews need to get fed now.
I'm not saying that college kids don't think this way about their draft position and how it affects their paycheck, but if you get picked in the first round, you're going to get a really good paycheck. Definitely enough to feed your nephews. I mean, who the f*** calls a GM and talks this way? If this conversation even happened, wouldn't his agent be doing the talking? And would the agent even talk about how much bank it's going to take to sign the player? Man, first he disses Jennifer Garner, and now he's hanging up on Gods of Egypt's Chadwick Boseman mid-sentence? We're supposed to like Sonny, right?
Hello?
Sonny asked Vontae Mack how he got his number, but apparently he gives it out to everybody. And it sure is great that all these future draft picks are getting a chance to pitch to a busy GM on draft day.
I just want to be a Brown.
Wanting to be a Cleveland Brown.
It's exactly 50 feet from the end of the slide right into the pool. Huge splash. I need you to make a splash, Sonny.
Holy f***, who talks this way? Yeah, I guess NFL owners do. Anyway, here's a sin for NFL owners making a huge big splash analogy about draft picks at a goddamn theme park to make a point.
People pay to get wet.
Are we talking about football, amusement parks, or prostitutes?
I really thought I could get Sonny Weaver to bite. I mean, he just lost his old man.
Am I shocked that an NFL GM would use a death in someone's family to his advantage? No. But that fact doesn't make it any less of a sin. I mean, Jesus, not sure Bond villains would stoop to that level.
Our next 2 number 1 picks, a 3rd rounder for your pick today.
Done! The end!
Correction. Your next 3 first-round picks.
Oh, you motherfucker. You're adding punitive damages to this? That deal you offered was already a massive robbery. And the guy is accepting that just because Frank Langella told him that people pay to get wet. Now you want the 7th pick and 2 more years of first-round picks? Where did this guy learn to be a GM? Darth Vader?
You want me to give you the Cleveland Browns 1st-round picks for the next 3 years?
But Tom said when he talked to Sonny earlier,
I want your first pick this year, your first rounder next year, and your 3rd rounder the year after that.
so the Browns are still getting a first-round pick this year and are just giving up their first-round picks for the next 2 seasons. Still a steep asking price, but Sonny is making it sound like Seattle is getting 3 first-round picks after this season.
I made you a fair offer, and you told me to enjoy my pancakes.
Movie continues to tease, but never lets us know if Tom enjoyed his pancakes.
You're panicking, Sonny, and I intend to take advantage of that.
Also, I f***ed your mom last night. I guess Coach Dennis Leary got this job because he stole Coach Bill Hicks' playbook and turned it into a winning career.
Is this gonna screw us up with the salary cap?
I know Pa Kent and Elektra are sleeping together, and there's a bit of a rift right now, but here's yet another reason why you wouldn't make the trade that he made. You discuss it with your team first and figure out all the considerations before making it.
1st-round pick next year.
Okay, well, that's a lot.
This asshole starts talking about what he thinks the deal is well before Sonny is done. And I don't necessarily blame him, since the trade Sonny made is insane. But interruptions might be the most exasperating way for a movie to make a bad situation seem even worse.
You gave up 3 consecutive first-rounders.
No, he gave up 2, because you still have a first-round pick this year. In fact, you have the first goddamn pick this year. Draft day can't do simple math.
Did you think it might be maybe important to discuss this decision with me first?
No, it's my call.
This is definitely a guy who deserves to get the embarrassment of riches that he gets by the end of the movie.
If we pick him and find out tomorrow that he has got knee problems, he's got bedwetting problems.
Professional sports teams would definitely know this about a player, even if they didn't expect to draft him. If you find this out tomorrow, then you are a terrible GM.
You're going to the draft?
No, I'm going to see Spider-Man turn off the dark.
Holy Frank Langella. Too soon, man. Too soon. There was no way that Anthony got that Bo Callahan uniform made in the time it took Sonny to make the trade and walk into the Cleveland war room. Discount Justin Timberlake.
Whatever it is that you and I have, you've been very clear that it
What
wasn't.
are you clear? I haven't been clear about anything.
Maybe that's the problem.
No, it actually isn't, because you were about to say he was very clear just 5 seconds ago. I know this is a stupid couples argument, but come on. You can't say one thing is a problem and then say the opposite thing is a problem just because... I'll just go to the doghouse.
Who the hell is this moron?
This is our new intern, Rick. What do you want?
I need every tape of Callahan.
I can assure you that just because their trusted intern got sick today, the acquisitions of game tapes would not fall to some random new guy intern. It's not like the Cleveland Browns have a intern who's going to be in charge of all this shit on draft day. They'd have a whole media and scouting department full of interns, for sake.
Dreaming of a magical wonderland called Cleveland.
Calling Cleveland a magical wonderland. The TV screen here says the Browns have had 2 winning seasons since 1999, and the movie made in 2014 referenced the original Browns move to Baltimore in 1995, which means they've had 2 winning seasons in 19 years. A few minutes ago, we heard the sports radio guys ranting about Sonny's terrible time as a GM, how they had a losing season after he showed up, and how Sonny fired his own father, who was apparently a legendary coach. But how did his dad become a legend when they only had 2 winning seasons since 1999? Why were the sports radio guys ranting about a GM for a losing season when that's pretty much all the Browns do?
How does the entire world already know about this, Mom?
Because Monty Mac just tweeted it.
Twitter. Also, what the are these pictures at the top of this phone? Did some production assistant go out and shoot Shutterstock photos a day before the movie was released? Arson. Coach Penn has already made his feelings known about this trade, and this scene is superfluous.
They do it different in Dallas?
Yeah, they do. They win. A lot.
But every GM in the league has now read your tweet, and they've all made a mental note that Vontae Mack is a guy who likes to talk. All right?
What the ever? His tweet isn't bad by any rational standard. Nobody gives a about a player talking if he's super good.
Watch it again. Don't watch me. Watch him.
Sonny just happens to call Vontae because a tweet irritates him, and then Vontae just happens to share this information with him about needing to watch Callahan in the game where Vontae sacked him 4 times. Now they're going to rewatch the footage of a player they've already done tons of homework on, and somehow find a new revelation they should have known about months ago, all because Sonny tweet-shamed this guy. Vontae ends up being the #1 pick, and because of the ripple effect, Sonny lucks into the draft of the century because of this shit.
Guess how much he squatted?
He's talking about their current quarterback, who's kicking ass in his strength and conditioning. And how has all of this been kept from Sonny the whole time? They're about to go into draft day. He does not already know his current quarterback's progress, even if he was doing secret workouts that apparently everybody knew about?
Your star wide receiver, Andre Bello.
Tony would never describe Andre Bello like this to Sonny. We don't know that he's the star wide receiver, but Sonny does.
Yeah, well, Andre thinks Brian can throw a good 15 yards deeper now. I didn't believe it until I saw what he benched.
What he benched? There's a practice field literally right outside this building where he could have watched Brian throw the football. Have yard markers and everything.
He has a whole website dedicated to all the chicks he smashed.
An entire website in 2014? And that's not a red flag. It's a PR nightmare at the minimum. Holy shit. In Bo's scouting report, significant questions emerged in blowout losses to Tennessee Tech and Indiana. I should say so. How the f*** did this guy win any games if he was losing to perennial losing programs like that? Also, his height and weight changed from the top 3 lines to the lines just underneath. And why would you have 2 different places to put height and weight in the first place? Also, this guy was born in 1988, and it appears he played in 2012, meaning he was 24 in that season. But those stats are different from the one that they say is his senior season, which means this guy could be as old as 26 going into the NFL draft. Unless he was trying to be a Major League Baseball player like Chris Winkie. Why the f*** is this guy 26?
Sonny, so far, he's still the best prospect we've ever seen.
Bullshit. Even the absolutely sloppy scouting report we just read shows a lot of things you'd be wary of. There's no way his profile beats everyone you've ever seen. The guy lost to Tennessee Tech, for Christ's sake.
Yo, I bookmarked that page.
Nice.
Even if the absolute nonsense that happens by the end of this movie actually happens, the coaching staff would still keep the Browns playing like the Browns. They are the most unserious bunch of assholes who have ever coached on a team. This is goddamn draft day, and they're wanking it to supermodels Bo's been nailing. The movie tries to make it seem like GMs would in any way be swayed by angry fans who want a particular player. It also suggests that they wouldn't be absolutely f***ing stoked that they fleeced the Browns for all those picks.
I need 2 seconds with you in a place that isn't out there.
I wish that were true. This is more than 2 seconds of something I would like to skip.
Did you trash my office?
Basically. You could say that Superman was a tornado of destruction, that he was powerless to prevent in the wake of Jonathan Kent's actions, and Pa Kent sacrificed himself, his next 3 first-round picks, so Superman could remain anonymous.
And when your knee crapped out and no one wanted you, I still extended your contract.
We're going to find out in a second that Brian's been the quarterback for 8 seasons, but the Browns apparently only have 2 winning seasons since 1999, and only one of those is traced to Brian Drew. So is this guy good or not? From what we've been able to gather about this team, that makes him like, I don't know, subpar Andy Dalton? Just because this dude can lift 250 pounds and squat 400 doesn't mean shit. 8-year veterans don't suddenly become Tom Brady just because they worked out in the Himalayas or whatever the this dude did.
If I do my job and we haven't spent more than $125 million on players by the time the season starts, I get excited.
I understand why they made Allie this tough-as-nails executive. But she mentioned several times that she loves football and dedicated her whole life to it. So it's weird she's this cold about the team getting the first pick or even the game itself, even if she's just trying to end her conversation with Coach Penn early. The salary cap is what excites her, which is arguably something that ruined the NFL.
How is it that the ultimate prize in the most macho sport ever invented is a piece of jewelry?
Allie would be the #1 pick at CinemaSins.
Because there's been some pretty foolish moves made by your boyfriend.
This f***ing guy. In fact, let's just say these f***ing guys. There's not one asshole in this movie that's a bit subtle about making moves that require subtlety.
Dick Moore.
This is exactly what my college girlfriend would say to me when we played our game of caveman sex.
Don't overthink this like your dad would have.
So many f***ing people are giving Sonny shit about his dad and making offhand remarks about him, and he just f***ing died last week. I get Sonny has to be kicked around a bit so we can root for him more when he succeeds, but goddamn, lay off the guy's dead parental. Buffalo Stadium isn't littered with dildos in this scene.
Looks like Tarzan plays like Jane.
Hey, I got 52 Tarzans in that locker room. I could use a Jane.
Ah, for f***'s sake, what are we even talking about anymore? If Tarzan is what we're calling a top-level player, then how the hell do you have 52 of them? And why are they not good enough to win very much?
We talk football? Just football for 30 seconds?
We can always talk football.
As long as it's about the salary cap, limiting player salaries gives me goosebumps.
If I make this trade with Buffalo, then I don't get to make a pick this year.
You do know there are more picks outside of the first round, right? The trade you made with Seattle and the proposed trade with Buffalo wouldn't take away any of your second round and beyond picks.
Remember the '89 Super Bowl?
Movie has time for this.
49ers Bengals.
Allie will now tell us nearly everything about the final drive of that Super Bowl, just in case you were still unconvinced that she knows anything about the sport because she's a woman.
It's still Callahan. Let's inform Buffalo that it's a no.
You've been making all the phone calls in this movie. Why are you giving an order to tell Buffalo this news? Do it yourself, jagoff. In this footage of Vontae Mack sacking Bo Callahan, number 63 on Wisconsin, is turned toward the line of scrimmage in this shot, but then in the close-up, he's in a completely different area and facing the other way. I don't know how they make continuity errors in live games, but that's the magic of sports. Also, here the play starts right around the 40-yard line, but in the previous shot, the play starts close to the 30. There's a 10-yard difference in 2 shots of the exact same play.
He got ejected from the game?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, in the third quarter after he stripped the ball from Callahan and scored that TD, gave the ball to a fan.
I can guarantee you that a star college football player giving a ball to a fan would have been thoroughly investigated by the news media, and everyone would have known that he gave the ball to his sister who was dying of cancer. This would have been a huge story, and it wouldn't have required Kevin f***ing Costner realizing it and telling all his dumb staff about it.
They tape a $100 bill to the last page. So when they're interviewing the guys and they ask them if they read the whole playbook, of course all of them are going to say yes.
This is a bullshit experiment to see who read the playbook or not, because these players could easily flip through it, go directly to the last page, find the money, and claim they read the whole thing. I did the same thing with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. With all the real cities and teams that they use, it seems odd that they make one up. Weird.
15.
Yeah, here's another thing. Not only does Kevin Costner know that Black Panther gave the football to his sister in that game, everyone else does too. This would not be a tightly guarded secret. Someone like Vontae Mack would be a top 5 kind of guy in the NFL, and would be in no danger of falling far in the draft just because of that one incident. Aw man, they dragged poor Ellen Burstyn into this, didn't they? Also, what's funny is that they dragged poor Rosanna Arquette into this as well, for almost no reason. She has like a couple lines. She's been in a lot of cool movies, including Pulp Fiction. This is the woman who inspired Toto's Rosanna and Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes, and she gets a couple of lines in a movie about drafting NFL players.
Isn't there an art exhibition in New York that you have to be at or something?
I'm sorry, is this movie saying that Gary Cole coached the Browns?
Someone broke my computer. You know, can you believe that? I mean, this thing had my entire life on it, and...
Why is this character? Why is Rick? Also, the someone who broke his computer was Sonny. But why the hell was Rick's computer just sitting in Sonny's office?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the red carpet from the University of Wisconsin, 2014 Heisman Trophy winner.
But this is the 2014 draft, which would mean Bo Callahan was the 2013 Heisman winner, Mr. Guy with Mike.
They said the same thing about Ryan Leaf when he was the number 2 pick in '98.
Allie is like Randy and Scream, or Mickey and Scream 2, who have to tell you all the minutia about a topic when they're talking about them. Tom Cruise, Top Gun, 1986.
There's no such thing as a sure thing.
Unless you're Rob Reiner and or John Cusack. Also, did you know that Nietzsche died of syphilis? Only in a movie could Roger Goodell walk onto a stage and get mostly cheers instead of at least 75% booze.
So the Browns now have 10 minutes on the clock to make a choice, and if they don't do that in that time, the team picking behind them can then jump up and potentially steal away the player the Browns wanted.
Why would Rich Eisen be saying this now? If it gets to like less than a minute on the clock, maybe, but this would never be announced at the start of a draft. Why is Marvin giving Molina the wink and thumbs up when Sonny just gave him a name that was not Bo Callahan?
The Cleveland Browns select Vontae Mack.
Okay, I get it. Everyone wants Bo Callahan. But this is just further proof to me that nobody thinks too highly of Brian Drew. Probably shouldn't. But also, wouldn't Cleveland fans be ecstatic about getting an Ohio State Buckeye on their team? Especially one that is clearly awesome? I'm not making this up about Ohio State football in the state of Ohio. It's bigger than any of the NFL teams. You would definitely not get a course of 100% booze for getting this kind of player. Also, this is exactly why you make all your phone calls and your vettings before making the trade, since you could have just gotten Vontae Mack with the 7th pick without trading any of your future. The outrage in this room is indicative of how bad this Browns team will be no matter who they draft. Yes, Sonny should have been consulting with this war room during the entire process. But there's a massive level of insubordination going on in this room. There would be a lot of quiet people, sure, but not a bunch of people expressing outrage at the pick. At least not in the room.
He wants to talk to him right now.
You mean he can't get Sonny on the phone right now? Is that a real thing? Or is this just some bullshit to let the audience know that the owner is about to drop the hammer on him and it's to build tension for later?
You picked Vontae. Wow.
3 first-round picks to get the guy I could have gotten all along.
We've already seen this, Sonny. You're too late to be amazing at CinemaSins. Once again, I have to ask, why are they making up these teams? They were just using real teams at the beginning. Like Jacksonville, Florida, or whatever, of a football team.
Holy shit, man. What do you know? What do you know?
The way this movie wastes its cast is unreal. We've got Pat Healy, and they use him for this one scene? What is this, Magnolia? During his phone call with the Jacksonville guy, Sonny gets a scouting report on a guy named Kruger, who never comes up again. Why the f*** are we focusing on this scouting report?
What's wrong with Callahan? Why is everyone passing on him?
If you're Jeff Carson and you just got a call from a team that traded away all those picks to pick a guy they could have gotten at number 7, why would you trust any answer that Sonny gives? Yes, the movie is saying Carson is a rookie GM and he's going to make mistakes, but most people, even if new to a position, have been in many negotiations under other GMs and wouldn't get schooled this easily. And if this was such a burning question on his mind, why didn't he take the initiative to call Sonny himself?
Take our number 2 pick this year, next year, and the next year after that.
The movie's going to make it seem like Sonny really got the best of Jeff Carson in this deal, but Jeff is the one making out like a bandit, and it's going to save him from drafting Bo Callahan, who the movie suspects is going to be terrible. So, inexperienced GM or no, he's making a f***ing great deal. Sony's playing a long game that will benefit him in the end, but Carson's deal is nothing to laugh at.
In the span of one day, you have managed to burn through 3 years' worth of number 1 and number 2 picks.
That is the correct number for the 2s, but they are getting 2 number 1s tonight. Does Cleveland only hire people who suck at math?
Look, don't quit, all right?
It would be just as easy, if not easier, to tell Penn his plan now instead of wasting time begging him not to quit. So why isn't Sonny doing that?
You son of a bitch!
Anthony storms through the door, ready to fire Sonny, but how the did he get here so fast? He was in New York when the Browns made the first pick, and now the draft is at the 6th pick. Teams get 10 minutes to make picks, so Anthony had a total of around 50 minutes to take a car from Radio City Music Hall to the Teterboro Airport in Jersey, fly to Cleveland, and make another drive to the stadium.
At the end of the day, no one's the wiser, Tom. You haven't lost anything, and you get the quarterback messiah you've always wanted for $7 million less.
At the end of the day, wouldn't the Players Union take a look at these deals and ask if that's exactly why they did all this bullshit? Sounds like collusion, doesn't it? A player that, for all intents and purposes, doesn't have any red flags, is a consensus number 1 pick, and getting shunned by every team for no apparent reason. All so he'll make less?
I have the golden ticket now, Tom, and if I give it to you, you get to save Seahawk football in Seattle.
Sonny is trying to Willy Wonka himself into getting his first-round picks back, and it f***ing works. Also, protagonist throws words back at antagonist when they're getting the better of them cliche.
All right, you have a deal.
It's amazing how these GMs are so easily manipulated in this movie. Tom doesn't have any pressure from his earlier trade, except from fans on blogs and chat rooms. And you know what? F*** them. You get a ton of first-round picks out of the deal, and if your fans can't see the value in that, then they aren't very knowledgeable and not worth your grief.
We live in a different world than we did just 30 seconds ago.
Protagonist throws words back. You know what? Here's 5 more sins for doing it again.
Come on, Tom, say it with me, you pancake-eating motherfucker.
Bo Callahan shattered every NFL record in the book. Seattle won 5 Super Bowls in a row.
Vontae Mack, the guy who plays with more passion and inspiration than anyone in college football. He's a Brown.
This movie has focused so much on Bo Callahan's abilities and has gone to great lengths to show how unwanted Vontae Mack is that it's genuinely shocking to hear someone say something positive about him for once. Super Bowl! Super Bowl! Super Bowl! Hypothetical spoiler alert! The Browns didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
You're in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they still had a team.
You'd consider a trade?
I'd consider the right one.
Can't take no late teens paycheck. Vontae needs a 7-pick paycheck.
I am a role model, Jerry. I have a family to support.
I'm the kind of guy that just sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section.
Crawford, how's my favorite super agent?
We got to thicken our revenue stream. We got to thicken our f***ing stream. We got to thicken the out of that stream right now.
How are you, Mr. Weaver?
I'm doing fine. How are you, son? Excited?
I just want to play football.
Right, we talked about this. You have... Oh, Clark, you have to keep this side of yourself a secret.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
There's more at stake here than just our lives, Clark.
Beef. It's what's for dinner.
Texans thinking of making a move?
I'm shot.
Why did you hate him so much?
They tortured and tormented a weaker kid. They didn't like him, so they killed him. And why? Because he couldn't run very fast.
I like thinking about the red dress and the television and you and your father. Now when I get the sun, I smile.